Okay, well, good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you're watching us or wherever you are viewing this stream, whether it is live or on feedback. Welcome to Trackstars Formula 2 Racing, where we are here for the second last round. We are bringing you round 12 of 13 at the Fuji International Speedway, where we've got our drivers in the Formula 2 car specs, 600 horsepower, 712 kilograms in weight, so slightly slower than the main series specs at 639 and 660 kilograms. But nonetheless, it is a good proving ground for drivers here that want to make a name for themselves. So the main series later on this evening, where we'll actually have a couple of debutants here that'll be graduating from Formula 2 into the main series later on this evening. But for now, we would like to bring a big warm welcome back to the commentary box. He hasn't been present with us for a little while due to some mic issues, but we would like to welcome back into the commentary box. It's Racing Jarman Dalitz.
Good evening, Spud. Pleasure to be here with you tonight. Looking forward to watching another exciting race at Fuji, just like the one we had last year.
Oh, I think, well, that was the start of our commentary careers, Jarman, between us when it came to the Formula 2s. Yes, last year brought an excellent race. I don't know how much you remember of that, but it was such a good race to commentate on, as we saw plenty of battles going on in that midfield pack.
Yeah, I do remember. I think Robbo picked up a podium towards the end, and I think XX Uzo wrapped up the championship there, but I don't think anyone will be wrapping up the championship tonight with how close it is between the first six drivers. And of course, our championship leader Viper said isn't here tonight. He's a bit busy at Sydney Motorsport Park.
Yes, so we have had a switch in the championship leads after the Brands Hatch circuit, where we had Zylan 96 still leading the championship at that point, but after the conclusion of that race, we had a change in the first two positions actually. So we actually had Viper Z take out the championship lead ahead of the number 20 in the RoboSport in the number 20 RoboSport racing car. But like you said, Viper Z isn't here and Robbo is here, so it'll be most likely going to RoboSport that'll take the championship lead.
Yeah, but I do have a bit of inside mail that RoboSport might not be at the final round either, so that could really open up the championship to the likes of Duran 50, Vicky's 123, and Mint Matt.
Absolutely, but also what we have here is we have a big supporter with the RoboSport Racing Cam and a partners in the RoboSport Racing. We have our title sponsors here at Trackstars Racing Series. We have the owner of Elite Braking Mechanical joining us in the commentary box. It is Mr. Shane Mitchell, EBM. Mitch, how are you doing this evening? Oh, sorry, looks like he hasn't been able to join us, unfortunately, so we'll cross over to him very shortly. But yes, but as we've said, Viper isn't here, but one guy that is here, it is Mint Matt in the BCG Racing Car 89 SF19 Toyota, as he powers through down to the first corner here, through Dunlop corner. It used to be an old banking for an old speedway that was going to present itself as a Japanese NASCAR circuit, but unfortunately that only ran for a few years until up until about into the 80s, where they actually turned it into a full racing circuit where they all presented out. Its Formula One first race was back in the 1970s, where it produced a great rivalry in the 1976 season finale between McLaren's James Hunt and Ferrari's Niki Lauda, where it came to the final race, where it was only separated by slim margins between those guys. And I think we all have seen the movie Rush, and I think we've all experienced that championship classic where James Hunt actually came out on top and placed third place, whilst Niki Lauda DNF'd in that race, and he won the championship by a single point here at Mount Fuji. So great history around this track. Unfortunately, racing stopped at the end of 2008, where they actually started to relocate and solidify the Japanese Grand Prix at Suzuka Circuit. But we see Matt crossing the line, exiting the final corner into the main straight here. He sets himself the benchmark time of a 1:23, I believe. Is that right?
Yep, 1:22.6 actually.
22.6. Yep. blurry on my end, but hopefully we got Mitch back in the chat. Can you with us, Mitch? Nope, maybe not. So he's probably some sort of problems on his end. But as we see the drivers crossing the line, we have Sir Slayer 1991 in his brand new ISAR Racing colours in second place, representing his you could say the Team Navy on his end of the car, where he's actually he's in the Navy and he's with the militaries, and he has very good close contacts with Cabans, who is part of the It's Racing Esports camp, but also is going to be a part of the It's Racing Esports camp in the Enduros later in December, partnering alongside Cabans in the 55. That'll be duking it out for the finale of the Track Stars Racing Series things. It's been a long season, Jarman. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to get you in most of it, but how have you seen the season so far this year?
Yeah, it's definitely been a long one. A lot of races going on, so it's definitely been a very big test of basically patience and mental capacity. But I think there's about 5 or 6 of us that are very much getting through it all and all very much in contention for the main series.
Absolutely, but as we see drivers changing their tyres, changing their strategy, we have also Rugworth in third place for the MSR VL Racing, abusing the overtake and hopefully gets himself further up into the grid. He's going to find 4.5 over Sir Slayer, but can he find it on that lap? No, he hasn't. So I think the best strategy for him is actually just to reset himself and just maybe go back into the pit lane and try to recharge that overtake. But in fourth place, we have Nightwalker 964, who will actually, so he's one of the two debutants that'll be making his main series debut in the Formula Track Stars in fourth place in the WRT Motorsport this evening. In the F2, he'll go from WRT, and then at later at 8 o'clock in the evening, he'll be representing the CP Motorsports car number 964 in the CP Motorsports entry. But now, hopefully we've got him all sorted out. We've actually got Shane Mitchell from EBM joining us in the commentary box. Good evening, Shane.
Hello, team. How are we?
Doing very well. Now we've got you back. Now we've got you in here. We've just got ourselves live into qualifying in the Formula 2. 2 minutes 10 to go. Leading the way is Matt versus ahead of Sir Slayer, ahead of Rugworth and Nightwalker 964, and Cyric in fifth place in the 98 privateer, who'll be also representing making his debut in the Formula Track Stars in the place of Disappointed at number 24, where he is also, like Viper said, working at the Sydney Motorsport Park for the V8 Supercar. So a cool job for those guys to do, but hopefully definitely going to be missed, that's for sure, missing their presence, both DJ in the commentary box and as well as Viper said on track.
I'm definitely sure that you and Eds will take over the reins from DJ. He does a very good job in the commentary box, but this is shaping up to be an absolute ripper as well, with the championship wide open currently.
Yes, as we explained in the commentary box, Viperstead did take the championship lead over Xylon 96, who had to withdraw the 32 away due to some work and some family family issues on the side note. So he's going to be out for the rest of the season and until probably we could say the early next year. So I'll be keeping very close contact with him and hopefully try to make sure he's prepared for a full season ahead in 2022. But yes, unfortunately, he's lost his first positions, but that opened up the door for Viper Z. But unfortunately, like we said, Viper Z isn't here, so that'll open up for Robo Sport, who's down in 8th place. So not the kind of performance we would hopefully see from Robo Sport, where he actually scored his first podium in Trackstars Formula 2 here at this very circuit back in 2020. So Robo Sport's got a lot of work to do, and he knows he loves the circuit here. He loves Fuji and he loves how he connects with it. But as we see, Sir Slay, he went purple. Can he get quicker? He's only just into second place there, but he's got a good healthy margin over Duran 50, about 9/10 over Duran 50 there, Jarman.
Yeah, it's a very good lap there from Sir Slay. Just was purple for probably the first couple of sectors, but just was a bit slower through that technical third sector and just couldn't quite get the job done. But Graham's going a bit slowly, so it doesn't look like he has an answer there. Going to see what Nightwalker's doing here. He's early on in his lap.
Nightwalkers exiting down through the corners there. 6 and 7 is where location is one of the first penalty burn points as he's gone through. But obviously, no, it's very hard to get a penalty in these cars unless you really abuse the inside curbing into turn 2 into Coca-Cola corner. But as we see, no penalties have been issued out so far for Nightwalker's lap, but let's see how he gets on. Hopefully he gets himself a little bit further up the grid. He wants to be up where Sirik is in 4th place because, as I said, those two drivers will be making their main series debut later on this evening. So it'll be a bit more of a gamesmanship amongst those drivers between Sirik and Nightwalker to say who's got bragging rights over pace-wise.
Yeah, it certainly will be a challenge between those two, and both of them will want to make an impression across the Formula 2 race and, of course, the main series Formula Track Stars race as well.
And as we see, they crossed the line. He didn't make the cut there, so he only just missed out by. He only went slowest by 0.1 of a second there. So I believe that's the final entries there. And obviously we don't have Robbo in the chat, but we might have to do a red flag because unfortunately Big Red accidentally ticked out of the starting grid. So we'll have to do a quick short break and hopefully get him back on the circuit as quickly as we can. But I believe that is it amongst the drivers, and one man, one familiar name up on the front row. It is Mint Matt on pole position for the 89 BCG Racing, and Sir Slayer 1991 holding out the second position of the Pacific Grand Prix here at Fuji International Circuit. As we get ourselves ready for the race, we're going to have to do a quick red flag amongst the drivers to get Big Red UFA back on track. But as we take a quick short break here, we'd like to talk to a bit about about the next week, Jarman. We've got ourselves a very special event here amongst the Trackstars community and with our partners with Elite Braking Mechanical.
Yeah, well, on top of our series visiting Nürburgring, we've actually got the Elite Braking Mechanical race for Tickford. Sorry, not the race for Tickford, but the Tickford Racing. I think it's a race for autism.
That's it,
autism, actually.
Yeah, the drive for autism.
Yep, and yeah, of course, 425 lap races around the Monza circuit. And it looks like Robbo's finally called that red flag, so we'll be able to talk about that a bit more. And yeah, it should be a brilliant event. And four drivers from about, I think it's 10 to 12 teams all up. Is that right, Mitch?
Yeah, so currently 12 teams entered. We were going to try and push for more, but I think with 2 commentators in as well, I think that's a perfect number. Without having too many issues of teams not being able to get in, it still leaves us a couple of spare spots. So we're definitely looking forward to holding the event. It's going to be, I think, a very, very fun afternoon and for an amazing and great cause.
Absolutely, and I want you to give us a bit of an update. How much have we? I think over the last times we've had you in the commentary box, you've been giving us a figure on numbers donation-wise. So, what number have we reached this week?
I have actually just got to have a look at that now because I've just got a flood of donations recently, which has been it's been very good.
The joys of commentary when you have to make sure you look at it at the last minute.
I know, right? It's absolutely shocking. I had all my numbers all prepared, ready for this, and then people were donating today. So the total race so far is $4,164. So an amazing effort by everybody.
That is an incredible number. I think the last time we had to do an update was about $3,000 and something, but yeah, that just went for a big jump there, and it's still a week to go, ladies and gentlemen. So for us joining us in the stream, yes, Elite Braking Mechanical have partnered up with Tickford Racing to support a one-off charity event called Drive for Autism, where it is basically where they are making donations and funds to Aspect Australia, Autism Spectrum Australia, and it all goes for a good cause where we are racing for a better schooling and better support for the children on the spectrum. And as well, as we always say plenty of times, as people always say, that it's not a disability, autism is not a disability, it's just a different ability. and it's a different way for kids to be learning new things, but it doesn't mean that they're not smarter than us. So they are smarter than what you would like to see, what you like to see amongst us people. But yes, in a way, it is a great cause, and we only have one more week to go until that race is being run by Shane and the team at Elite Breaker Mechanical. So we'll put a link on the donations page. We'll put a donations page link one more time on our Discord, and hopefully we can bump that number to hopefully maybe about 5,000 before race day.
That would be absolutely amazing. It's gone well and above. Look, I set myself a target of around $10,000, but realistically I was happy enough, and my liaison aspect was happy enough if we just got the donations that we could for the entry. So I was only aiming for around sort of the $1,200 to $1,400 mark, so I'm absolutely ecstatic with how much everybody's got on board. Some of the team sponsors that are involved have jumped on board and donated heavily, so it's been an absolutely amazing experience for me, and something that I'll definitely look to do in the future, and partnering with Trackstars as well.
Exactly right, and hopefully we get to do some more exciting things with you guys, and hopefully we get to get ourselves a really good partnership going along the way over the next few months, and hopefully within the next few years. But as we get ourselves ready for the restart, our take 2 of the Formula Trackstars Formula 2 division, where we have I believe. Oops, I think we have a bit of a mix-up there, Robbo. That is, I don't think we see Matt in 13th place there on the daily basis. There, don't you think, Shane? I don't think that's right.
It might give everyone else a bit of a fair chance with his current pace that we've seen him flying around in that thing. So, but no, I'd imagine he would want to start from his original qualifying position.
And I think all the drivers have noticed that, and unfortunately, a bit of another apologies there, another whoopsies. But obviously, we have obviously, I guess in a way, it's a good way to practice your starts. And I don't know, I don't know when the last time we actually had you in a Formula car, Shane, was back in February, back where you made your debut outing for Elite Breaker Mechanical in the Formula Trackstars. And obviously, it was. I don't know if it was your first time driving a Formula car, but talk us back. How is that car compared to like a Group 4 or a Group 3 machinery that you're normally used to driving?
Mate, it was something different. I signed myself up for the main game, and I thought that I'd be able to at least maintain pace, but these boys are on another level. The car was, just everything happened so much faster. The tuning aspect of it was all very, very overwhelming compared to the mainly Group 3 cars that I'd be running in. I really enjoyed my time there, but I think I ended up finishing about 4 laps down and struggling with the fuel consumption and having to hold on to the fuel number that I needed to hit while maintaining my lap time. So it was certainly a big wide awakening for me, but something that I'm definitely interested to get back into. Maybe not on the main game series, but definitely TS2. I'd love to have a go, and if I can challenge Robbo for a bit of a win, I'd be very happy with that.
Yes, as we know, your partnership with Robbo Sport Racing, and yeah, obviously with the help of Robbo Sport, you guys have got yourselves the likes of Little Blacko, leading the way in the EBM's Formula Championship, where he's actually in 7th place in the championship, so he's holding his own very nicely. And then lately, the recruitment of Broccolilli in the number 13. So you guys have been, I could say, a little bit of a slow start amongst the Elite Breaking Mechanical entries, and as well as some of the other teams that are just only starting to get their heads around the Formula cars. But with the likes of Blacko and Broccolilli over the last few rounds have been putting on some really strong performances, with Broccolilli especially. But last round as well, we saw Little Blacko take out his first podium in the number 14 back at Brands Hatch.
They have been an amazing couple of drivers for me that have really stepped up when I was struggling a bit for drivers, especially in the Formula Series. Plenty of people that obviously want to get into a Skyline and have a crack around, but it's been a bit harder to fill the seats in the super formulas, and I've just been very much struggling for time recently. Obviously, with the lockdowns and everything that we have with COVID, trying to maintain a business and keep everyone employed it takes up an incredible amount of your time. But I'm really looking forward to getting back into it. But on the Broccolilli standpoint, he's been absolutely amazing for me, and the Skyline as well.
Absolutely, yeah. The EBM boys were back. Unfortunately, when we lost Xiaomi 5 due to him having a newborn, it put a little bit of a damper on like who would be taking that seat. But once you guys signed up Broccolilli to take over Xiaomi's spot, it just pretty much was a no-brainer. It's just getting 2 wins in the EBM Nissan GTR, a few podiums and a few top 5. So obviously his pace, he's been leading the way, you could say, in a way, but he transferred over to the wheels, so his pace might not be up there as he was on the controller, but he's definitely on the up. He's definitely on the rise for you guys.
Yes, 100%. And him and Brandosa are working very well together. They work quite closely. They run their own practice lobbies, and they're really working together to push towards the front.
Exactly, and as we've seen in the Enduros as well, a little bit of an unfortunate time for you guys back at the ABM factory with the partnership with RoboSport with Little Blacko and Lurox not having the best of outings, and I think Jarman can agree that that Nissan, I'm not so sure how much the bill was for the RoboSport camp to pay back the damaged engines for that, because I think there were plenty of damaged engines in the EBM 35 there.
There certainly was in that one. Look, it's an unfortunate one for them. A pairing like that had come off a podium from last year in the Bathurst 1000. I think they just had a bad day. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
That's all it was. That both those drivers are on point. But we're about to start this one off anyway, so I'll let you talk us through it there, Spuddy.
So leading the way in round 12 for the one and only race here at Trackstars Formula 2, we have Mid-Matt in the BCG Racing 89 in pole position, with Sir Slayer 1991 for the ISAR camp in second place, Duran 50 in third, Sirik in fourth, and Rugworth rounds up the top 5 as we wait for those lights to go green. 5 lights are on. It is lights out, green flag racing, and we've got ourselves a nice start there for Matt. A good, comfortable start there for Matt. Clears the field by a good couple of car lengths over Sir Slayer 1991. And Duran 50 is coming on the inside, and Nightwalker's making the big move on Duran 50, and he pulls it off magnificently. He goes from 5th to 3rd within an instant in a couple of corners there, but we see Duran 50 lose position. Rugworth has dropped 1, but so far leading the way. It's got a good, clean start amongst our drivers, but one man leading that way, it is Mid-Matt in the 89.
Yeah,
Very much amazing start.
It's a great start for Matt there, and Sir Slayer's not letting him run away so quickly. So we did see in the Porsche Cup that when Matt was leading, and we had some good battles in the Porsches with DJ, myself, and Woods and Viper. But amongst these guys in the Formula field, it's going to be hard for them to catch Matt. But so far, Sir Slayer's actually keeping a good ground. He's only 7/10 behind coming through this technical section of the Fuji International Circuit before they reach Panasonic on the final corner, turn 16. But he's holding on very nicely there, about 6/10 there, so he's still within slipstream range. But I want to know at least the tyre differences amongst those drivers. As we see, Matt is on the super soft tyres, and I wonder if Sir Slayer as well. He's also on the super softs. And then we have Nightwalker 964 in third place on the soft tyres. Is that right?
Yep, that's right. He's running the softs as well. Softs compared to the super softs of the first two. He's on the softs too.
So those guys.
It's going to make a huge difference, because the soft and the super soft usually carries some pretty good speed between the two. There's not a lot of difference in pace between the two.
Yeah, the drop-off rate with as we've seen over the last few rounds, DJ and myself have been saying, we've been seeing that the drop-off rate between softs and super softs hasn't really been that much. It's only been probably about a 0.2, 0.3 second loss compared to the super soft tyres. That's why we usually see the likes of Matt, Viper Z, and even Duran 50 qualify on the super soft tyres, on the soft tyres, just to try and get themselves an edge and get them on that starting tyre, and then hopefully at the back end of the qualifying, they get themselves up into the super softs and get in those blistering lap times. But so far, it's working wonders for Matt and Sir Slayer up in first and second, with Duram the first of the soft runners, in third place, with Nightwalker in fourth. We see Sirik make a move on Rugworth there, so now he takes fifth place there, and Rugworth gets all out of shape there and is going to come right under attack from the Robbo Sport camp, with leading the way with Robbo Sport in seventh and Mikes in eighth place. As we look down the field behind Mikes, we'll hopefully get to see who will be down there. It'll be Warpath 360 with Isar Benjo in 10th, who will also be making a return to the Formula Trackstars scene in the main division in the number 26 Shadon Racing entry, replacing Wiseacre and Wazadon, who had a good running last time out of Brands Hatch, getting a nice solid 10th place for the team. So he'll be down there in the main series in the Shadon Racing camp, but he's now occupying 11th place, just behind a newly recruited driver in Devlin Calypso. So he's also part of the ISAR camp. So he did say in the comments below, he said there's about 5 ISAR boys in this series, in this race today. So it's a good achievement for them. But and hopefully, I guess in a way, they're making a claim to why they should be in the main series next year, Jarman.
Yeah, of course, there's plenty of teams all vying for those vacant spots. Unfortunately, we don't have a EBM Motorsport team next year, along with Pit Lane Esports as well, but it has opened up the opportunity for 2 new teams to join in the series, and Benjo, of course, being a part of the Trackstars community probably since the mid part of last year, is certainly staking a claim as to why his team should be given a spot in that series. But yeah, there's plenty of others, of course, that all have really good teams put together and will be wanting a spot.
Exactly right. So we have Isar Benjo. We see Soul Reaper. So he's actually the third entry to the WRT. So this is another team as well, boys, where WRT Motorsport has been putting in the hours and putting in the drivers just to try and get themselves a claim to be in the main series next year. But so far we've got Nightwalker 964. You could definitely say he's the leader of the WRT Motorsport, with Warpath 360 leading the way comfortably in the TS3 Championship. So they also are making a good claim for themselves to be front runners in the main series next year.
Yeah, and I know Warpath is very open that he'd like to step up into TS2 next year and continue his progression there, and probably build his pace in the second division. And thinking, well, what they were saying is that they'll be probably looking for another driver to join Night if they were to be admitted into the series, the main series.
Absolutely. As we see ahead, we see Sir Slayer get himself a half-second penalty there, so he's burned that off, and he's now coming all under pressure behind, with Nightwalker 964 in third place, with Duran 50 and 4. So it looks like Nightwalker did get that position back over Duran 50 there. So a good battle for the second placings on the podium here, fellas. We see Nightwalker try to go for a move around the outside of Sir Slayer. No, he doesn't. So we've got an ISAR versus WRT versus CP Motorsport. So maybe something to see in the main series next year, but that is still next year. We are in the now. We are in the Formula 2 Trackstars event here at the Fuji International Circuit, where we have Matt in the BCG 89 leading the way, a big margin, about five seconds over Sir Slayer. In second place, with Nightwalker 964 in third, Duram in fourth, and Sirik having a nice little lonely race up in fifth place. But he looks like he's on the map there. He looks like he's catching up slowly, but he's going to be catching up the front guys, and he's on the soft tyres as well. So look out for him and look out for his pace later on as the laps go by.
Yeah, of course, you've got to look at Sir Slayer, Nightwalker, Duram all fighting amongst each other. That's going to cost him some time, and Sirik will just slowly edge his way closer towards that back of that pack, and yeah, he'll be getting himself very much in contention for a podium position if the other 3 in front keep fighting.
We can definitely tell you've been missing the commentary box in a while there, mate. But that's all right. Everyone makes mistakes. Even the good old David, even the old David Croft and Murray Walker made a few mistakes in the commentary box. So you're not alone there.
Yeah, got myself a bit tongue-tied there for a second. I just won't say that the big guns are coming out.
Exactly, and this will give also a bit of Shane a bit of opportunity to try and work his vocal cords out to hear that beautiful voice come next Sunday in the charity race as well.
It certainly does, mate. I've got to loosen these bad boys up. Don't think I've done commentary for a long, long time. But as you're saying, these guys all fighting here, it will certainly push them up, and they don't want to make too many mistakes because that little pack of 6, 7, 8 with the two RSR cars there and Rugworth, they're still hunting around there as well. So I don't know if you can let us know what their tyres are too, as to where they could be later on in this race.
As we
I think
see,
Rugworth's on the super softs, and we've got Robbo on the super softs as well, and same with Mickey's too. So they're all going for the soft tyre at the start, and going to the soft tyre, which is the harder of the two compounds. All gets a bit confusing between the two if you start talking too much about it.
exactly right. You just never know which one is which one's the best tire. But we are about to start lap 7 of 22, and these guys have already done the minimum of 5 laps. So these guys can come in and make a pit stop. But it looks like these guys don't want to make a pit stop. They're going to be battling hard for second place here. We got Nightwalker trying to go around the outside of Sir Slay. It looks like he's holed that, but has he got enough straight line speed? No, he doesn't. So an excellent battle amongst the guys in the ISARC camp, WRT Motorsport, and we see Duran 50 lurking in the background, where over the last few rounds we've seen a bit of a decrease in pace from Duran 50 after that stellar start he had back at the Blue Moon Bay Infield A race, where he took a clean sweep of pole positions, victories, and fastest laps here. But Sir Slayer runs really wide, coming on the exit of turn 6, then into 7. And Nightwalker's got a great opportunity to try and make a move on Sir Slade. Will he fake a dummy move to the right? No, he doesn't. So he's going to stick right behind, and Duran 50 is right behind. But look behind, boys. Sirik is right there, and he's catching very quickly.
Just one thing I did think of, maybe a Duran or a Sirik. I think it was Xylon that pulled the move at Dragon Trail at the start of the year. I can't remember exactly who it was, but someone jumped into the pits while pack of 4 or 5 in front were too busy fighting, and
yes, I do.
The entire lot.
Yeah, I do remember that. That was Dan 08, and that was also Mika's. They did a stellar undercut, and those guys ended up getting in the 4th and 5th placings at the end of the race. Whilst they had the lead pack with these guys, they dropped all the way down as far as I believe was like 8th or 9th here. And Sir Slayer Nightwalker goes for a bit of a deep lunge there, almost wiped the back end of Sir Slayer there. And as he looks like he's broken a gap away from Nightwalker. So I guess in a way the dirty air effect comes into play with these cars. I mean, there's no tuning, and it is a stock car, so I guess in a way it is an even playing field. But I guess some drivers are finding it a little bit hard to follow other cars.
Yeah, it's certainly not an easy car to follow in. If you get too close to someone and can't quite get the move done straight away, or don't have a huge pace advantage, then it becomes a bit more difficult to follow that car in front. So I certainly find that you lose a bit of front end grip. It makes life a bit harder to carry that speed around the corners.
I'd certainly be with Itz on this one. If I was Sirik, I'd be looking at jumping in the pits right now for an undercut on these guys. If they're going to continue to battle each other for another 3 or 4 laps, there's certainly position to be made if he wants to try the undercut.
Exactly, and as we've seen in the Gran Turismo game, the undercut is pretty strong, especially in a Formula car. They can really use the overtake to your advantage, and especially with this track with having very long straights. And as we saw in the back in the 2020 Olympics, as we see Robbo Sport, the first of the drivers coming into the pit lane, getting off that super soft tyre and onto the soft tyres. So he's going to be going for a long stint here, so a long 13-lap stint for Robbo Sport here, and hopefully he might be able to move his way further up the grid and try and overtake his rival in Rugworth in the 74.
Yeah, he's probably maybe he's just the scream and might have heard our suggestion of jumping in the pits and taking our advice.
Exactly.
But he's a very smart cookie.
We'll go with option 2 on this case, yeah?
Yeah, we'll give him the benefit of the
That's why we love having him in series management. He's always a quiet assassin, that's for sure. But he's always a sneaky one and always pulls off good moves like that. He actually also did the same thing last year. So he was one of the first runners last year to run an undercut amongst the rest of the field. And as we saw a few blunders last year where we had Ando 787 and X Uzo, the defending champion of the Trackstars Formula 2 in its debut season, they both did a big stuff up, you could say. And they actually got themselves. They actually accidentally did a 2-stop while Robbo did the 1, and Robbo. That's how he got his podium positions with mistakes from the front two.
Yeah, it was certainly very well done. He capitalised on mistakes of others and also played the game to perfection with the strategy as well. So definitely a well-earned podium there in that case, and hopefully he's working towards another one for his sake.
Absolutely. So he's only managed to rack up a couple of podiums this season. So, and I think the biggest one he took was the Blue Moon Bay 250, which was the pre-race before the big Blue Moon Bay 500. So he had the help of Little Blacko, where Blacko could have made the move on his team boss, but he thought, I've got too many wins under my belt, so why don't you have one boss? And did a nice gentlemanly thing and just gave him the victory for the Blue Moon Bay 250. But he didn't say, obviously he had to work for it, he earned it, and I guess he deserved it as well. So it's a bit of a slow. It is a quiet season for Robbo, but he can be happy with a victory and a couple of podiums to his name.
Yeah, he's certainly worked himself into this championship very well. Unfortunately, he won't be able to make the last round from what I hear, but who knows, maybe he might be able to work something out.
Exactly. Why not? If he knows he's in the championship lead, I'm sure he has to cancel his family trip and just wrap up the championship. Of course he would. But as we see here, down in 6th place, Sirik has made the move and he has blinked and he is coming into the pit lane. He's going to be changing from the softs to the super softs. So we've got about 12 laps here, boys, and we've got Sirik in the pit lane. I wonder if this is the time that everyone else is going to react and jump in the pits.
I think you'd have to if you're in front of Sirik now. The boys will probably want to get in this lap, I would have thought, just to cover off that undercut. They don't want to be caught napping in 3 or 4 laps when he's got track position on them.
And he's got himself a really good margin over Robbo Sport, so that's clean air that he needs. So that's the clean air that Sirik was looking for, and he's going to be really using that overtake to his advantage as much as he can. But Robbo's about 9.5 behind him, but we have to wait and see what the gaps are going to be like as we see Sir Slayer lapping his teammate in ISA Benjo 19 in 2nd place, with Nightwalker still right behind him. So Nightwalker's still doing a stellar job here to try and hold on to the back of Sir Slayer, where Sir Slayer was actually looking to challenge Matt on the opening couple of laps there. But as we know with Matt, boys, he is a fast driver. He's the 2015 GT Academy champion. So obviously with that kind of accolades in your arsenal, of course you're going to run away with a 12.5-second gap. But as we see Matt actually come into the pits and he's going to make the change to the tyres. Sir Slayer as well looks like he's coming into the lane as well. But we see Matt, the first of the leaders, into the pit lane with Sir Slayer right behind. And we see actually Nightwalker and Duran 50 staying out for another lap there. So I wonder if that's because of the soft tyres that they're running, they can run those extra couple of laps.
Yeah, they might be looking to do a bit more of an overcut on instead of trying to go with the undercut. Maybe their aim is to try and get a bit of extra pace in the next couple of laps and then make the move that way.
Exactly, and as we see Sirik right there, he's about 2.5, so he's definitely closed that gap massively to Sir Slayer there, so he's going to be working really hard to get on the back of Sir Slayer there. So Sirik's about 2.5, so if he's about 2.5 seconds behind Sir Slayer, I wonder where he's going to fit amongst Nightwalker and Duram, so that'll be interesting. So hopefully, I mean, you can play an overcut by an extra couple of laps, but do you risk it with the pace of Sirik that Sirik's been showing over practice and qualifying?
Yeah, that would be a good question.
I certainly don't think so. I think at least one of these boys, probably Duram, I would have reckoned, he'll want to pull the trigger now. I think he should go in, slap on the fresh set, otherwise both of them will get undercut, I think, with the pace that he's showing.
As you see with the tyre wear as well, the tyres are pretty aggressive around the track, and look at that. I think these boys are reacting They're reacting to us in the commentary box, which is perfect. Looks like a good entry there for Duran 50 and Nightwalker, and they're both in the pits coming on to the Super Softs, and that'll give Mid-Matt back the lead of the Pacific Grand Prix here at Fuji International Speedway. As we see Matt leading the way, Sir Slayer's coming onto the main straight, so where does he pop out in all of this? Will Nightwalker and Duran 50 be closer to Sir Slayer? I don't think so, because I see the tyres being put on. And Sirik's coming through with the fresher set of super soft tyres. Will he be ahead of Duran 50? Oh, he's just right behind there. Almost got fourth place off Duran 50 there, but that has helped Sirik massively. And with the warmer tyres compared to Duran 50's colder super softs, he's going to be hassling the back of Duran 50 over the next few corners.
He certainly will be, and it looks like he's just dropping back a little bit. It'll be that dirty air as he's running right behind him there. But that was definitely a net game for Sirik for sure. I reckon if they had gone around one more time, he would have jumped them.
Absolutely, and I guess you could see with Sir Slayer and Nightwalker, that gap has opened up massively, and contact's made between Sirik and Duran 50. So Sirik went a little bit too deep on the brakes there, and just tagged the rear end of the number 50 CP Motorsports Super Formula in fourth place there. But as we see, Sir Slayer looks like he hasn't really pulled away from Nightwalker, so I guess the overcut that Nightwalker's been pulling in that stint has actually worked wonders for him. So he might be maybe about 2 seconds. Well, actually, that is a lap car ahead of him. I think that is Benjo 19, but I think ahead of that lap car might be Sir Slayer. So we'll have to wait and see. But yes, we've still got our leading pack in Mid-Matt, Sir Slayer. So there you go. He's pulled a bit of a gap over. As we see what's going on here, we see a bit of swerving at the back there between Duran and Sirik, just trying to take each other's slipstream off. But that has relieved a bit of pressure from Nightwalker with the battles that he had with Duran 50 and Sirik just a lap earlier when they both came out of the pit lane. But with Nightwalker on fresh supers and Sir Slayer on soft tyres, I guess in a way you have to pick out who's going to come out in second place amongst these two.
I certainly think that Nightwalkers start with that little bit of breathing space now from that bit of contact with Sirik and Durham. With the contact there, it's sort of backed that up now. Nightwalkers doesn't have to look in his rear vision mirror anymore. I'd say his eyes forward and he's be looking to the back of Sir Slayer.
So as we see, leading the way on lap 14 of 22, about to start lap 15. As we see that, we see Sirik make the move on Duran 50, and a beautiful move there for Sirik there, but Duran's not letting off here, and it's going to go side by side back into turn 15 here, and there's a great battle pack for fourth place between Duran 50 and Sirik here. So nice battle. Duran runs wide and Sirik takes a narrower line, and they're going to go side by side at the exit of Panasonic, and down the straight they go. It's going to be the battle of the overtake button. Who's got more? Who's going to press more of the overtake? But it looks like Sirik's got himself a bit of a clear margin now over Duran 50 there, but he's still holding that inside line, so he just doesn't want to get Duran 50 to take advantage of that. And just before turn 1 into Dunlop, Sirik has taken fourth place, boys. Beautiful move there. Beautiful racing by these two.
That was a great little battle there. Well done on both of them. I know there was a bit of contact between them before, but that was fantastic racing.
Yeah, that's certainly what you like to see between the two. Nice clean racing side by side.
Absolutely, and as we see with Duran 50, we've seen him really, as we said over the broadcast with DJ and myself, that we see that the battle between Matt and Viper, they always have a bit of a one-ups. They have a bit of a one-ups championship where, with the tin tops, you usually see Matt dominating the tin tops compared to Viper, who is more comfortable in the formulas than Matt is. But over the last couple of rounds, Matt's won the last two in a row. He's about to be on a hat trick of victories if he keeps his car clean. But I guess in a way you could say amongst with Duran 50, he looks like he doesn't really seem to favour the formulas as much as he does with the GTR. So I guess in a way he's just learning the car, and I guess in a way for next year when he does a full season, either in Division 2 or in the main series, it's just definitely a learning curve there. As we see Sirik just trying to weave away the slipstream that Duran 50 is picking up for fourth place. So this is going to be, this looks like to be the battle of the race here. We'll have to keep an eye on Nightwalker and Sir Slayer. As you see Duran 50 brake deep on the brakes there, but Sirik has got a little bit more worn tyres compared to Duran 50, and Duran's on the fresher, softer, super soft tyres, and they're still battling along inside, outside. Which line do you take? but there's no room for Duran 50, and a great showing between these boys for 4th place.
Yeah, it's definitely a good battle, but I think Sirik's probably just going to want to be a bit careful going down that main straight that he doesn't pull foul of the stewards if he's weaving across the track.
Absolutely. So Sirik's in 4th. He's got himself a little bit more of a clear margin now over Duran 50. But as we run through the field, as we've got a little bit of a breather amongst these two, we see Matt in 1st, Slayer in 2nd, Nightwalker in 3rd, Sirik and Duran battling it out for 4th, with Rugworth a comfortable lead over Robbo Sport. So that undercut for Robbo, unfortunately, hasn't been able to work his favours, and he's down in 7th place, which is not a bad result for Robbo to hold 7th amongst the fastest drivers up there. So it's a good showing for him, with Mikez in 8th place, Warpath 360 in 9th place, and then obviously rounding up the top 10. Hopefully, I believe that is going to be one of the ISR boys. I think there's about 5 ISR boys. No, it is actually Soul Reaper here. So it looks like, what I'm seeing here, he looks like he's going for a really long stint here. So this is where we have to be really careful with the drivers. In the drivers briefing, as you said, at least 5 laps per compound. So I wonder, Soul Reaper only has about this lap and the next lap to try and think about making a pit stop, because if he doesn't pit, he's going to be in big trouble with the stewards.
Yeah, definitely something that you hope that he's read, and maybe he's timing it to perfection, that he runs a really long stint on the soft tyres and then comes back strong on the super softs for a 5-lap sprint.
I guess that could work. Good favors to Soul Reaper, or it might be a little bit of a burden for Soul Reaper. But we'll have to wait and see. But still, a big comfortable margin as we see Venti run a little bit wide there. We've seen a disconnect from Benjo there, so unfortunately he hasn't been able to finish the race. As we see Sir Slayer has closed the gap. Nightwalker's closed that gap massively, boys. That was about 2 seconds about 4 laps ago, and we see him right there within striking distance. And I think the biggest thing that we can see here is, look at that overtake that Nightwalker scored. He hasn't even touched it one single bit there. So he's got the advantage of overtake compared to Sir Slayer, but as they're right in that slipstream, and look at the pull from the WRT 964 there. Can he start to think about making a move on the outside? Will he fake to the inside? He just sticks to the one line. Tries to face Sir Slayer, but Sir Slayer runs a bit wide coming out of Dunlop there, and that's cost him a lot of time there. As we see the battle for 2nd place, Sir Slayer 1991 from the ISAR camp versus Nightwalker 964 in the WRT Motorsport. Will be making his main series debut for the CP Motorsports later this evening, but for now representing WRT and trying to get one more step on the podium and take 2nd place off Sir Slayer.
Honestly, with the pace that Nightwalker's got at the moment, it looks like it's pretty much a done deal with all that overtake that he's got there as well. I'd say down this straight he's going to be on the hammer, absolutely pushing it as they run round through to the last complex here now. And look at here, boys. You can see Soul Reaper has made his pit stop, and look at that. He's Sir Slayer's in a bit of a WRT sandwich there, so that could work really good wonders here for Nightwalker 964. But then again, you don't want to really get too much trouble with the stewards and just ignoring blue flags. But he's helping his teammate out, and I think he's done a really good job here. Nightwalker's right on the tail of the 386 Sir Slayer 1991. Even with the cars pulling out of the way, it definitely does distract you. So that would have upset him through there. So that's fantastic stuff for the WRT boys. But I'd say he's about to make a move here on the inside. And look at that! It's just pure slipstream, not even using the overtake. So I wonder if his overtake button isn't working, or he just kind of maybe conserving it, and maybe wants to try and show off that he is fast without using the overtake. But he has made the move on Sir Slayer. So a beautiful move there for Nightwalker 964, and a great position for Nightwalker 964. It's been doing a lot of practice over the week to get comfortable with the tunings of the SF19s, but also devouring some time to get comfortable in the F2 spec cars. But is already pulled about 0.6 of a second over Sir Slayer. So those fresh super softs compared to Sir Slayer's worn is pretty impressive, that pace that he's got.
Yeah, part of me is wondering that, I'm going to say that he hasn't even assigned a button to the overtake, so that might be something that we have to let him know about. Or
in the main series, yeah.
Maybe he's very confident in his speed in the main series and he's just practicing not using the overtake
Yeah, well, like in the main series, if you are leading the race, you're not allowed to touch the overtake at all, Shane. So, I guess maybe if Nightwalker does lead a portion of the race, I guess he's learning the way of not touching the overtake. I guess.
I think I'm going to go with Jarman on this one and say that overtake button might not be mapped on his wheel or his DS there that he's running. So, but he's doing an absolutely fantastic job to be able to get that thing up to P2 without using the overtake at all.
But if you look at Sir Slayer here, he's using the overtake and he's about to make a move on Nightwalker 964. Can he make the move into turn 1? I don't think so. So he's still back there in third place. But unfortunately, that charge that Cyric had coming up into fourth place over Duran 50, that looks like that's concluded. So now we have Duran 50 solidifying fourth place over Cyric in fifth, with Rugworth in sixth, Robbo in seventh, Mick has 1, 2, 3 in eighth place. And we see the second entry of the WRT, Warpath 360 holding his own in ninth place. Also a driver not really familiar with this machinery, but he's doing a solid job in ninth place for the WRT Motorsport 360. And then we have Devlin Calypso putting on a really nice performance there for his debut in the ISAR camp, who was also known to have his entry in the Speed Demon Racing number 666. So he's been doing a stellar job there to hold out 10th place. That'll be a good result for him. But this is the battle pack, but we see Nightwalker still pulling away. He's got about 1.2 now over Sir Slayer. So those super softs, or that soft tyre that Sir Slayer's running, isn't really working for him. And look at that gap; it's just increasing bit by bit.
I was just doing some quick calculations there too, boys, on the championship, and currently at the moment with Mintbat leading, he is only going to be about 36 points behind Robbo if they finish as they are now. So Robbo I know there's only a couple laps to go, but Robbo's definitely going to have to try and watch himself and make sure that he does maintain that 7th position, or hopefully he can either get to Rugworth or Rugworth makes a mistake, because there's only be 36 points in at the end of this one.
Oof, that's a big one. So hopefully, because like we said, Robbo Sport will definitely be taking over the championship lead, but we'll also have to keep an eye on Viper Set for the final round here and see, because it'll be an interesting battle between himself, Duran 50, Mid-Mat, and then you've got Viper Z in the mix. So that's going to bring out a classic finale for the Formula 2 season in season 2022.
Yeah, and of course, Mickey's is amongst that as well. He's probably going to drop behind Mid-Mat though, but it'd still be very much in contention if something went wrong.
Well, even Rugworth as well. Rugworth as well is in the mix as well. So he's right, but I think he's behind Matt in the standings there. So he's doing himself really good favours, and he's actually holding second place in the TS2 Championship as well. So it's a big season for Rugworth in the 74 VL Racing, who's merged alongside myself, who's formed a partnership with myself and my team in the Mashabuds Racing. We've created a Kiwi team for Rugworth, and hopefully we get the season underway for season 2022. And hopefully we get ourselves a nice partnership to go alongside with Rugworth in the TS2 and F2 championships. But on the final lap here, we haven't spoken much about this man, Jarman. Obviously, he is your co-driver for the Elite Braking Mechanical Touring Cars Championships here. But I guess you can say you're not surprised that he's leading the way by a comfortable margin.
Yeah, he's proven himself to be the class of the field, basically yet again. And then with the absence of Viper Z, he's taking full advantage of Viper not being here, and probably his main contender for race wins, and probably the guy that really keeps him honest throughout the races. But he's done an excellent job to stay free, and he's well on his way to a victory here today.
As he rounds up Panasonic corner for the final time here, so no challengers, and he's missing the likes of Viper Z, but fortunately for Matt, he's got a clean victory, and for the Car 89 BCG Racing, it is victory for Matt Simmons in the 89, taking the win and the fastest lap and pole position. So a clean sweep of accolades here at Fuji. But we have to talk about Nightwalker 964, a brilliant overcut and a brilliant overtake on Sir Slayer 1991. Takes second place off the ISR driver, and he's going to be very happy with that second place here, and that'll give him a big confidence boost come the main series in an hour's time.
Yeah, he'll certainly be looking forward to that one.
As we see Sir Slayer rounding up the final step of the podium in the ISR car with Duran 50 in 4th, Cyric in 5th, Rugworth holds off a nice position in 6th place, and right down the further back there, we're coming onto the entry onto the exit of Panasonic, we have RoboSport 18.5 seconds behind Rugworth, with Nickes right behind, so a bit of a line astern for the RoboSport cars in 7th and 8th place, with Warpath 360 in 9th place, and then we had the last of the runners, so in Devlin being lapped by Matt there. So nine cars on the lead lap, and but like I said, it is a class act for Mint Matt this evening.
Certainly was. He absolutely just walked away with that one. Basically, from the start, he had a small little battle there with Sir Slayer, who was holding himself quite well, but once he got some clear air and no cars in his rear vision mirror, he just absolutely frolicked away with that one.
Absolutely. So 13 runners, one DNF from Benjo 19, but nobody could stop this man. A clean sweep of accolades there, pole position, fastest lap, and a clean race bonus, and the victory here for the Pacific Grand Prix here at Trackstars Formula 2. So big congratulations to the 89 BCG driver. As we look over to the results page, and like I said, there's no question of a doubt. 21.8 seconds over Night Walker. That's just a class act from Matt there in the 89 with Night Walker. A solid second place for him. He'll definitely be happy with that, with Sir Slayer. In third place, Jerem 50, holding off that early charge by Cyric, but unfortunately the worn Super Softs got to Cyric, and Jerem 50 managed to take fourth place of Cyric there.
And that was a good little battle there as well through the middle of that race there with Jerome and Cyric. So they done a great job there. Unfortunately, Robert wasn't able to get to the back of Rudworth in the end with his two cars running line astern in 7th and 8th.
Exactly right. So we've had 13 runners here. Then we're rounding up the top. The rounding up the top 10 is Warpath in 9th and Devlin in 10th, with Isar Big Red, who was actually running his Australian account, as you can see there. He's normally using his American account, but he's representing the Australian banner and is representing the Isar camp in 11th place, and with Old Soul Reaper with a late pit stop in 12th place, Venti Super Soft in 13th, and the only DNF tonight was Benjo 19. But that is it for our Formula 2 race here. Thank you so much for tuning in. Big thanks to our boys. Big thanks to our guest commentator in Elite Breaker Mechanicals owner, Shane Mitchell, for joining us in the commentary box. So hopefully that gives you a bit of an insight of what Formula 2 racing is all about, and hopefully next week in your special event, hopefully we get a good turnout.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to next week, and thank you very much for having me on board today and letting me free up the vocal cords for next weekend. It's been an experience, and it really goes to show what a professional show that you put on here at Trackstars. You really do your research and have an amazing amount of knowledge throughout the entire event. So it was fantastic, and I believe next week as well. Next event for the F2 Trackstars is going to be absolutely amazing, with about 4 or 5 people that can take this out.
Absolutely. So that'll be one for me to do the calculations on, and hopefully there's no stewards report. So if there's no stewards report, then it'll just be a quick send out, and I'll keep you up to date of who will be leading, who will be in the championship fight. But it is very close. It is packing up really tightly here. So we see Robert will take the championship lead here, but he's got a big question mark if whether he can make the final race or not. Likely not, but we'll have to wait and see. But yes, we are definitely looking forward to next week's Elite Breaker Mechanical, partnering with Tickford Racing and Aspect Australia for the charity race that is Strive for Autism here. So keep an eye out on the EBM TV for coverage there, broadcasted by Shane Mitchell, Elite Breaker Mechanical owner, broadcasting with EBM Matty P, also as the second commentator here. And also, I guess in a way, like you say, Mitch, it's not all about winning, it's all about what we drive for.
Exactly, mate. Obviously everyone wants to win on the day, but it's just an amazing event to get behind in Trackstars and yourself, and it's been amazing and helping me to promote the event and do what we've done so far, and to be able to raise the money that we have and get the support that we have from everybody that's been able to donate and even just flick me a message and just say hello has been absolutely amazing. So it's been fantastic, and another big win for us was obviously our boy that we sponsor, Zach Best, and getting his first drive in the Bathurst 1000. So if everybody can get behind him at the Bathurst event as well, it'll be fantastic.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting to see how Zach Best goes in the Bathurst 1000. So I'll definitely be cheering him on, and hopefully we might be able to see a bit of running when he goes for the Super 2 Championship at Sydney Motorsport Park. I'm not so sure if it's the next weekend or the weekend after the Super 2s run there. Not overly, I can't remember on the calendar there.
It's constantly updating all the time. I can't even keep up with it. I just wait for Zach to give me a message and tell me when it's on. So I really want to get up to Bathurst. I just hope that all this stuff is put behind us and we're able to get up there and enjoy an amazing event.
Exactly. We can't wait to see it all, but we can't wait to watch it all. But thanks for joining in the commentary box, and a big thanks to It's Racing Jarman Dallas for joining us back in the commentary box. So good to have you back here, mate. And hopefully, maybe towards the end we can have a three-man commentary team for the finale of the championships. I guess you could say.
Probably aim for St. Croix. I'm gonna say by the time that DJ's done with all of his commitments with the V8 supercars, and yeah, I'm going to say we've got a bit of a break there on the Bathurst weekend, and then, of course, the Endurance Series finale probably will see us all spread across different races. And so, yeah, probably that St. Croix 1500 weekend is probably where we'll see a three-man team in the commentary box, possibly.
Or maybe four if Shane joins us for the last events as well. So who knows? Definitely would love to bring the owner of Elite Brake Mechanical back on the commentary box. But as we wrap up tonight, thank you so much for tuning in for the Trackstars Formula 2 Pacific Grand Prix. Winner of the event was Matt in the 89 BCG Racing. So one for Viperset to keep his eye on in the finale at St. Croix B in 2 weeks' time. But on behalf of myself, I'd like to big shout out, big thanks to EBM's Shane Mitchell and It's Racing Trackstars admin Jarman Dalitz.